Okay, this is going to be pretty lo-fi, but if it works for Dochi, then it can work for me. I've just done week one of the Artist's Way. Um, it's a wonderful course in discovering and recovering your creative self. So I'm doing this because I have been a songwriter since I was 10, and I've been a producer for the past 4 years, and I'm just feeling a little bit creatively blocked. I feel like there's so many uh, I don't know, parameters around who I feel like I am and the kind of person I try and show up in the world as, and I do think that it limits me creatively. So very keen to go through this 12-week course. There's activities and readings every week, and yeah, just get a little bit creatively unblocked. So I'll talk you through what I've done so far. Um, the Essentially, the structure of it all is you read a chapter every week, and there are two very important things that you have to do every week. So you do the reading, then you have to wake up and do what's called morning pages every morning, and that's just 3 pages of just like non-stop continuous writing, whatever comes into your head. You also have to do an artist date, which is basically where you go on a little solo expedition with the aim of being inspired by something. So go somewhere, do whatever your heart desires, really. But the idea is to kind of fill your creative well, so you can draw from it when you're being creative. So yeah, and then in addition to the reading and the morning pages and the artist date, which you have to do every week, there's also certain exercises that you have to do every week, and it's not necessarily like you don't have to do all of the exercises because there's like 8 of them every time. And honestly, I just did them all for week one. It took me like hours. But the idea is to do at least some of them. So the recommendation is that you do the at least the one that you feel most compelled to do, and then you do the one that also you feel the most resistant to do. So at least do those two, and then if you want to do the rest, you can. So far so good. I started a little bit late in the week. I was gonna hold off until Monday to start, but I don't know. I know there's some behavioral science slash psychology around the fresh start effect, where starting on like a Monday can help you stick to a habit. But for me, it doesn't really work that way, and I don't know if this is a thing for anyone else, but basically, I have to start at a random time on a random day, just to trick my brain into like not thinking that it's a habit that it can break. It's like, this is just what we do now. So anyway, I started on like a Wednesday, and then yeah, basically I have my little notepad that my boyfriend got me for my birthday, which I haven't really done much with. And basically, yeah, you kind of go through and you write your little morning pages, and it's 3 pages every morning. And really, it can be anything. And it's been so helpful to get all of this down on paper. And I actually found, and I don't know if this is a because there are two different kinds of thinkers. There's people that kind of have like an inner monologue, and there's people that think in pictures, and then there's people that kind of sit in between that. Some people I think don't have either. They'll just like go on impulse. I've got a friend like that, highly ADHD. But I only think in pictures. Like I don't have an inner monologue. And apparently people that are kind of like very far along on that scale of being like quite visual thinkers, they think in like somewhere between 32 and 64 concepts a second, whereas I think if you're like just an inner monologue kind of person, you're thinking about like 7 concepts a second. So like I found it really hard to kind of like get it all on paper, because it was just like, okay, like what am I thinking? Oh, it's already gone. What? But yeah, so I managed to write some of it down. It's so messy because I was trying really hard to keep up with my brain, but that's okay. That's like the point is you don't really read it back. You definitely don't show it to people, and you don't try and kind of make it any particular structure. You don't make it like good writing. It's just like writing in a diary, or like just writing whatever thoughts come through your head. So, I mean, yeah, like a lot of the time it can start really simply with like this one's like, oh, I had a bad sleep last night. I kept waking up in the night. Or, I'm feeling like quite stressed out today because I missed my bus. Or, oh, I'm on the bus again. There was a couple of times where I had to get up really early and catch a bus. So I just like took my morning pages with me and did it on the bus. And so they are like crazy messy because if you've ever been on a bus, like just jumping around all over the place. So there's like a lot of like, anyway, so I did my morning pages. It was quite good. I wouldn't say that I came up with anything too creative necessarily, but it was good to just start getting my thoughts down on paper instead of just swirling around in my head. For some reason, I just had this moment of like just scribbling all over the page. So I guess, and that's not something I would normally do. So I was just like, oh, whatever. That's what my hand wanted to do this morning. And yeah, you basically make yourself a little a contract as well. So at the start of all of this, so week 1, your first task is to basically have this contract where it says like, I, Nikita, understand that I am undertaking an intensive guided encounter with my own creativity. I commit myself to the 12-week duration of the course. I, Nikita, commit to weekly reading, daily morning pages, a weekly artist date, and the fulfillment of each week's tasks. I, Nikita, further understand that this course will raise issues and emotions for me to deal with, and I, Nikita, commit myself to excellent self-care, adequate sleep, diet, exercise, and pampering for the duration of the course. And then you sign it and you date it. So, I think it was good to kind of make that commitment at the onset. And then I also just created, and there's different things you have to do. Like one of them, like you have to write 10 times what you feel yourself to be. So I just like, and what you struggle to admit in yourself. So I've just got like, I, Nikita, I'm a brilliant songwriter, producer, musician, and performance artist. And then I just created like kind of a little like like a weekly review kind of, because I need the dopamine of ticking things off. So I've just got like little check boxes for like, did I do my morning pages for the week? Did I do my artist date for the week? And then the names of all of the exercises. And then I've kind of got like a score out of 7 for how many morning pages I did. So it was like, because I started on Wednesday, it was like 5 out of 7 instead of 7 out of 7. And then like a yes, no for the artist date. So yes, I did my artist date. And then I also just kind of put in here like any issues that came up throughout the week. So yeah, like one of them was that I tried on some jeans and I got really sad about it in the changing room. I don't know if that had anything to do with anything, but I do notice that like when I'm feeling bad about myself, and it could be anything, could be bad about my music, bad about my work, like it seems to just bleed into every other part of my world and make me feel really like shit about my creativity and my music. So it's definitely a blocker. Funnily enough, it was the jeans I'm currently wearing. I decided I was just going to buy them anyway, even if I didn't think they looked that good, because I'm just not going to buy into this negative body talk. What else? So what were the activities for the week? And I'll get into my artist date in a minute as well. So the activities for the week, so the first one was time travel, and it was talking about old enemies. So basically these old enemies are like anyone in your life that has said something to you that has stuck with you, that's made you feel insecure as an artist. And I've got a few, and it's so funny, like I was going through these and I realized that some of these people might be, they call them monsters as well. But some of these people are now my biggest advocates. And it's quite funny how things can change over time, but the original and probably not intended words still very much stick with you, and even when they come back and they like really kind of champion you, in the end it's like hard to kind of get away from the little kid that's still holding on to the words. I remember probably my most vivid memory, which held me back a lot in pursuing music, was I was would say I was like maybe 8 or 9. I don't know. I remember I was at my auntie's house and I was singing Killing Heidi in the kitchen. And, I was probably like a pretty terrible singer at the time, but I just remember my auntie said something like, oh, like you're singing really nasally or something like that. And like got me through the heart. I really struggled to sing much after that. I never, and I still do not see myself as a good singer. I'm constantly concerned that I'm nasally. I think I feel like that with even just my speaking voice, because I've had feedback about that on my speaking voice as well. I think my dad is definitely one of my like old enemies is what they call them, and not because of anything he said. I think it was just more of like a lack of caring. I don't think he really ever kind of was that invested in my music, but I mean that, like, I suppose he was never invested in me generally, but I think because he was a musician, I just always thought that was something that we maybe would connect on, but it, just wasn't. And even now, like, he still kind of doesn't really care. There was one moment really recently that it was just like such a turning point. He tuned in to watch I did like a live stream gig, which was streamed online, and so him and his wife tuned in to watch that. And when I tell you, I was so surprised because it felt like he just like never really cared at all. It was really nice that he tuned in. But yeah, like I think just that general sort of sense of like him not really caring. My mum as well. She's such a big advocate, but definitely growing up, it was a lot of, and I do appreciate this because I have a career now, but it was, not in music. But growing up, it was very much, music doesn't pay the bills. And so that is like a belief that has stuck with me all this time. And all of my ex-boyfriends, I don't think some of them are really supportive now. But yeah, definitely there were some comments from some of my exes that were like, maybe a little bit thoughtless, but definitely stuck with me. I remember we were camping once, me and my friends and my ex-boyfriend, and I was very, like, I never used to sing in front of people. That was something that I only started doing a few years ago. But yeah, I was very brave and I got my guitar and I played a little song, and then, because he was in a band at the time, and I remember him saying, like, kind of going, well, at least you can be my groupie or something to that extent. And yeah, I just was like, okay, I guess I suck. And yeah, another one of my exes, I again was tried to be brave and sing in front of, and he just like kind of picked on my pronunciation of things, didn't think I was very good. Another one of my exes just didn't really want to come to any of because at that point I'd like finally got up the courage to start going to open mics, and he just never wanted to come. I remember the one time he did come, he was just like looking up football on like Twitter the whole time. So that was kind of a bummer. And yeah, I think just like other little bits and pieces of people just generally like, I guess, giving constructive feedback on my music, but I always take it so personally. So I don't want to call them old enemies, but I will say that there are people that have said certain things, pointed out growth areas for me, and it's just been really hard for me to get out of my head. And so I always think about those things now, and it's not in a way that like is really motivating to get better, but in a way that just makes me want to give up, which I'm really trying to work on. So yeah, So that's like the time travel activities. So you had to do this kind of like old enemies, list who they are, and then you had to do like time travel, like Monster Hall of Fame, and just, you know, like that story I told you about killing Heidi in the kitchen, like write down a story, a vivid story that you remember, and like what impact it had on you. And then you do a little letter to the editor. So basically, you want to write a letter to one of these old enemies, and just kind of talk about. Uh, like what happened and what impact it had on you, and just like how, like ask like why they had to say it like that. And obviously, like, not everybody's perfect, people are going to be thoughtless, but just really like just have at it and tell them like how much it really impacted you and how it set you back as an artist. So I did that. Then there's time travel, your champions, which was like a lovely exercise to do. I think the enemies one was like hard because you have to go back and like revisit the things that made you feel insecure. But the champions exercise was really nice because you could go back and recall the people that have really believed in you along the way. And there's been like quite a lot of them. So my nana has always been such a champion of mine. She always like really nurtured my piano playing as a kid. My old stepdad, he like used to kind of like champion my guitar playing. So did my cousin Christy. She really loved it when I used to play Metallica on guitar when I was a teenager. Like little memories of that, of like people just being really supportive and like, you know, thinking that you've got some talent. There was a guy that used to run the open mic that I first started going to, and he was one of the first people to really start believing in me and my music. He said I was a really beautiful singer and said I was a really good songwriter. So we're not really friends anymore, but that definitely was just so formative for me moving forward with my music at all. I think if I hadn't have had that encouragement when I very first started singing outside of my bedroom, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. Actually, one of my first songs is dedicated to him for that reason. One of my old singing teachers, Ruth, I remember her telling me that I had a really beautiful voice, which is the first time I'd ever really heard that. There's a couple of people that I used to work with in radio and television. My old radio colleague, he wrote this beautiful Facebook message recently just telling me that that he really thinks that I've like got something special and I should keep going and not give up. One of my friends, Jeremy, he's just like constantly in my corner. He's constantly like telling other people about my music and just is just so lovely. I have a little an album on my phone of just all the like any messages that I've been sent from people that have just been really lovely and supportive. I've got them in a little album. So whenever I'm feeling just a bit down on my art and on myself, I'll go back and have a look at those messages. My little nieces and nephews, Penny, Corey, and Ari, they just like love my music. They and I know it's probably because I'm their auntie and I'm older, but like it's just really sweet that they like know all the words and they sing it like to themselves, like just in their little day-to-days. And they're so little, they're like all under 10. So that's really sweet. I've got, my friends Lewis and Courtney. They are always telling me that they're listening to my songs on repeat because it really like resonates with them, which I love. My auntie, who actually like said the original thing in the kitchen, my earliest memory, is actually like one of my biggest champions now. She loves my debut track, thinks it's really great, and says that like I just kind of like you're like very talented, you should keep going, kind of thing. So like it's been really nice to have kind of like an old enemy like come back around, I guess, and like really start like believing in me. And then my very good friend Harrison, who I just don't know what I would have done without. For the longest time, for like the last over a decade now, he has like when I basically all but gave up on my music, he uh, just kept asking me when I was going to pick it back up again, and telling me I should try. And then, yeah, he's just constantly been sending me messages of support, like every few days, until he obviously got like a very serious girlfriend and had a baby, and now he's kind of living his life. But yeah, I would just say that he has just been the most supportive person through some of the darkest periods of my life. So I'm very, very grateful. And then, yeah, then you write like a thank you letter to one of the people. And so that was really nice. You like write the full thing that they said to you, and like how they made you feel. And you write a thank you letter back. So that was nice. And then there's just this thing, which is like your negative beliefs, and then you challenge it with positive alternatives. So, some of my negative beliefs is like my act isn't interesting. I often feel like I'm just like everybody else. I feel like my music is kind of sad, it's too boring. And yeah, so I guess the positive alternatives to that is that, like, my act like is like relatable, and it is uplifting. And it is both happy and sad, and can capture the spectrum of what it means to be a human. And it will cut to the core of the correct audience. There are going to be people out there that have my songs on repeat. I already know that of people that do. And even though it's not kind of like particularly like interesting, it is meeting the goal that I have for my music. So, and it's kind of like that whole thing of what is it, like, you're not like other girls. This kind of desire to feel like really special and different. And I guess for me, like, that saying just doesn't mean anything to me. Like, I want to be like other girls. I love girls. Like, girls are the best. And I think it's beautiful that we're all like each other. So that is like another kind of positive alternative to that belief that I'm just a little bit boring. I do have like a negative belief that I can't have a loving relationship in a music career. That's been something that has stuck with me for a really long time. But I have recently, I guess, changed that narrative since I started going out with my boyfriend, who is also a musician. And yeah, I think it's quite nice that we're both still really pushing hard towards our music goals, but we're also in a loving relationship. Also that, to be an artist means you can't be financially secure, which is something that has been an old belief since I was younger. Like I said, my mum really wanted me to be financially secure before pursuing my music, which is exactly what I did. Now I feel like I have a little bit of a mixed feelings about this one, because on the one hand, I'm very grateful now that I have a career and a job, so I can pay for pay to learn things, pay to buy plugins, pay to buy to get things mixed properly, pay to go to music production courses and things like that. I bought all of my studio equipment, so I'm glad that I have a job for all of that. But then I also feel like I've kind of just left a lot of this too late, which is another negative belief I have, that I'm sort of too old and a little bit out of touch with younger people. But then at the same time, the positive alternative to that is, well, the themes that I sing about are universal. I listen to a lot of music from the 60s and 70s, and that's well before I was born. And I still love that music, and I still relate to it. I have a whole Wake Up and Slay playlist, which is pretty much purely music from the 60s and 70s. So yeah, there's quite a lot more negative beliefs. I have so many about myself, but I did sit down and write down all the positive alternatives, which was great, and really, really helpful, and kind of is aligned to this other book that I've got, which is called Tell Yourself a Better Lie. So essentially, everything you tell yourself is not 100% true. So, if I say I'm a bad producer, that's not 100% true. I am a growing producer. I'm not 100% bad, and I'm not 100% good. So you might as well just tell yourself, rather than saying I'm a terrible producer, which isn't 100% true, you might as well just tell yourself I'm a brilliant producer, because that's also not 100% true. But it's a better lie, and your brain will kind of move towards the better lie, if you tell it that. And then the final exercise was imaginary lives. So it was all about basically like coming up with 5 other things that you might be doing if you weren't pursuing your creative career. So for me, it was either being like an astronaut or a pilot. I still have a dream that I might do that one day. Being a quantum physicist, again, look, life is long. I feel like I might do that too. Being an actress, all of these things I honestly feel like I'm probably still going to do. I mean, I'm only in my 30s. There's so much time left to go. Yeah, I'd love to be an actress, a mental health or environmental advocate or speaker, or a travel and lifestyle content creator. So, I mean, all of those feel very much in the realm of possibility for me. So, yeah. And then the final thing for the week was the artist date. So, essentially, the artist date, you have to go on your own. You go somewhere that's going to fuel your creativity. They call it filling the well. So I went to a place called the White Rabbit Gallery. It's a Chinese contemporary gallery. And I put a video about it on my Instagram. Basically, yeah, and I started the date feeling quite like sad and a bit neglected. Me and my partner had like a misunderstanding. So I was just like, oh, well, I'm just going to go do my artist date now, then whatever. So I kind of went there feeling a little bit down, but I just got very quickly inspired. It's such an amazing gallery. They have so many like interesting like art pieces there. It was very, very cool and free, which is great, because you don't want to be spending too much money on these artist dates because you want to spend that money on your creativity, right? So yeah, it was really great. I did get inspired by this particular piece. It was sort of a digital exhibition, I suppose. It was a huge, big video being played on a wall, and it was meant to just be very confronting, very challenging. It was very loud, and it inspired me to potentially explore like a shadow side of my project, because my Nikita project, I try to make it like quite like happy and sunny. That's the new direction that my EP is going in, but I'd like to have just like the opposite to that. So there's like really happy and sunny side, and then there's kind of like the darker side, and and I was thinking it could just be like a little bit like Beyonce's like I Am Sasha Fierce. So I've got like the Nikita side, but then I've also got like the invert to Nikita, which is very dark and very industrial. And so after that artist date, I got talking to ChatGPT about what that might look like, how to invert my name and have it actually still be letters that you can type, which I didn't realize, but they're like backwards, accidentally. Yeah. So I don't know if I can do it like exactly upside down. It might just have to be upside down and backwards. I don't know. But yeah, I started just sort of like layering some samples and having to think about what that might sound like. So that was week 1. I've been talking for nearly half an hour, but it's been really great. I'm hoping I can stick with it. I am going to stick with it. I've already started, so I'm on to week 2 now. So the first week was all about recovering a sense of safety. Week 2 is all about recovering a sense of identity. So I've already started reading some of it. I'll get into it in my next video. But where is it? This week addresses self-definition as a major component of creative recovery. You may find yourself drawing new boundaries and staking out new territories as your personal needs, desires, and interests announce themselves. The essays and tools are aimed at moving you into your personal identity, a self-defined you. So yeah, started doing the readings. Did my morning pages this morning. I'm trying to think about what I will do as my artist date next. I might do dragon boating. I don't know, I sent a little inquiry yesterday, so that might be it. Otherwise I'll go find something else fun to do and let you know what it is next time. All